So, yeah, I'm going to talk about the Raspberry Pi. I'm Jonathan Furness. I'm the acting head teacher at Kings Road Primary School, just round the corner at the moment. I'm passionate about being a teaching head, and it's really pleasing to hear Tom talking about how he teaches as well. So I have a bunch of students. They're a great bunch, and a lot of the learning is led by the students. So I'm always asking, what is it that they want to find out about? But let's start with what's a Raspberry Pi, because there might be some of you who are not so familiar. So what is it? Well, it's a cheap, affordable computer. It requires no specialist stuff. We've all the equipment that you need in order to operate a Raspberry Pi. Is it? Oh no. When Andy said that, are you coming to TeachMeet, he said, you have to present as well, so I wasn't quite prepared for that. But anyhow, so it doesn't need any specialist equipment. It's all here. You've got the mobile phone charger which powers it, and luckily enough it's got all the connectors and the interfaces that's required. It just uses SD cards for storage, and when you load the operating system, it comes preloaded with all the development environments already in existence. So it's got Python, Scratch, Squeak, a few of those. So that's what it looks like. I've got one in my hand here. It's in a translucent case, which the kids find quite fascinating because they love seeing inside stuff. They love knowing what things and how it works. It's got HDMI out, which you can also convert into DVI, so any modern televisions will be able to run and use the Raspberry Pi. It's also got just video out, so most old television sets will also work with it. So you can imagine the children with TVs in their bedrooms, not a big fan of that, but if they do have TVs in their bedrooms, they've got a way in which they can interface with a Raspberry Pi really cheaply. These are about 30 quid. So how does it fit in the primary curriculum? Well, I'm not a big fan of Gove either, but number 2. Yep. And he said, and what I am pleased about is that he actually transformed our thinking about ICT and the teaching of ICT, and this is not good. What's going on here? There we go. Is it the connector? I'll tell you what, I'm going to... Sorry guys. I think I had dongles out of it. Too much attention. Yeah, so one thing that Gove did do is to get us rethinking about what should we be teaching as ICT. And it's not about using and consuming, it's about making and understanding the deeper components of computing. And computer science is deeply concerned with how computers and computer systems work and how they are designed and programmed. And our kids really caught on to that. One of the things I do with my children is to take apart a computer, and the best things you could do is to have a computer set up in the classroom, it's all on, screens on, it's all running, and to just go and fetch it, start taking it apart and get the kids involved in taking it apart and get them to tell you about what they already know. And at this point you discovered you'd taken the wrong computer apart, but that doesn't go down too well with the teacher. But and so that led us on to looking at Raspberry Pi. Because it's so transparent, you can see the bits, you can talk about the parts, and it's also quite small, so kids can kind of relate to it. They want one. It's kind of very much part of something they want to put in their pocket, take home. I think it's going to be in a lot of Christmas stockings this year, for sure. So what we did is we looked at what does a Raspberry Pi do, what does a large desktop computer do? They do the same things. How do we make it to do things that we want it to do? We have to program it. So we had our Key Stage 1 children. I wasn't a great believer in all this. I thought, these young ankle biters, how do they get involved in programming? Well, it's only going back 20 years ago when we looked at Logo and some of those tools that we had in the classroom back then. And actually, why is it that we're doing it? Well, it says that computer programming is like the narrative part of a story, and the computer's job is to do what the narrator says. Computers have no intelligence, and so follow the narrator's instructions blindly. And that's a really good sentence about how we tell and explain what it is that we're trying to do with children. I'm going to race ahead. This is the Scratch environment, so it's very visual. Lots of you here will be familiar with some of those instructions because they look very Logo-like. And this task was just to send this rocket onto a journey in space. Moving on to Key Stage 2. Well, this is interesting, because then I thought, well, let's just carry on with Scratch, the visual environment. Our kids said, no, they're not interested in that. They wanted to know and to code. So then we looked at Python, and they were captivated. And I really mean captivated. Not the bells and the whistles, not the stuff that you drag across the screen, but this is the stuff that you type into computers. They loved the bit when we got Python talking as well. So the inputs that they were putting into the computer could then be spoken by the machine. So we started with some maths. We started with just outputting stuff to a screen. We looked at setting variables. They loved adding a banana and an apple together. They just wanted to do it forever. But I said we needed to move on. We looked at writing programs. So here it is in English. It has to be a story. It has to be something that you can talk about. The children were able to talk about what they wanted their programs to do. So that's on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, is it converted into the Python programming language? And that's all they had to do. And they're right onto it. Very, very straightforward. So there's the program written in a simple text editor. And that's what the children are now building. They're building very simple programs. Speed converters, temperature converters, function machines, length and weight, capacity converters, math games, and word suggestion tools. So I look at all the skills that the children are learning through programming. Can I suggest that I recommend this document to you? It's Computer Science, a Curriculum for Schools. It's a brilliant, brilliant document. It kind of spells out what it is that computer science should be in Key Stage 1, 2, 3 and 4. I've never read anything quite so powerful as this document. So I'm going to tweet it in a moment. I'll put my presentation online and you can watch it and follow it all for yourselves. Thank you very much.